Nobody goes in there.
But Professor Davies is still inside.
The scream tore through the corridor just as the fire alarm began to howl. Red lights strobed against the lockers, painting the walls in frantic pulses. Students spilled out of classrooms, confused, laughing at first, until they saw the blood smeared across the linoleum outside the faculty offices. Someone dropped a backpack. Someone else whispered a name. By the time security forced everyone back, the professor's door was already closed, the key light blinking, the campus holding its breath. 3 months earlier, Elena Morales sat in the third row, hands folded so tightly her knuckles ached. She watched Professor Adrian Hale write on the board, the chalk tapping like a metronome, each mark clean and precise. She wrote every word, even the pauses. Especially the pauses. "Does anyone want to take a shot at this?" he asked, turning. Her heart jumped. She raised her hand before she could stop herself. "Yes, Elena?" She stood, voice steady despite the thunder in her chest. If you assume the variable remains constant across the sample, then the conclusion changes. It's not correlation. It's selection bias. A murmur rolled through the room. Hale smiled, brief, professional, warm in a way that made her chest tighten. "Exactly," he said. "Well done. Well done." 2 words. They followed her all the way back to her dorm that night. She replayed them while brushing her teeth, while lying awake, while staring at the ceiling until the glow-in-the-dark stars she'd stuck up years ago blurred into constellations she named after him. She didn't want him, she told herself. Not like that. She wanted what he represented. Precision. Respect. To be seen. The first email she sent him was careful. Polite. A question about a footnote. He replied 12 hours later. 2 sentences. Clear. Neutral. She read it 5 times. In office hours the following week, she waited until the other students left. She sat across from him, knees pressed together, notebook open. "I was thinking about your comment in class," she said. "About my analysis." He nodded. "Yes. You said, 'Well done.'" She stopped, heat crawling up her neck. "I wanted to make sure I understood what you meant." He smiled again, the same professional curve of the mouth. "I meant exactly that. Your work was strong. Keep pushing. Keep pushing." Another phrase to collect. She began choosing paper topics she knew would interest him. She stayed after lectures with small, precise questions. She sat closer. She listened for changes in his voice when he spoke to her versus anyone else. When he laughed at a joke from another student, something sour bloomed in her stomach. "You don't see it," she whispered to her reflection one night. "He does." Her grades climbed. So did her expectations. The first crack appeared on a Thursday afternoon. She knocked on his office door. No answer. She checked her watch. Office hours had started 10 minutes ago. She knocked again, harder. A voice from down the hall said, "He canceled. Conference." Elena's throat tightened. Canceled? He hadn't told her. She emailed him that night. Then again the next morning, apologizing for emailing twice, explaining she was just excited about an idea. She stared at her inbox between classes. Nothing. When the reply came, it was brief. "Let's discuss during regular hours next week." Regular hours. The words felt like a wall. In class, he praised another student's presentation. "Excellent synthesis," he said. Elena felt the room tilt. She smiled anyway, clapping with everyone else, her palms stinging. Afterward, she waited by the door. "Professor Hale?" "Yes." "I was hoping, about the recommendation letter," she said quickly, the words tumbling out. "For the research grant. The deadline's close." He exhaled softly. "Elena, I can't provide letters for undergraduates I haven't supervised directly. I've been in your class for 2 semesters, she said. Her voice sounded thin to her own ears. "You know my work." "I do," he said gently. "And it's good. But the policy is the policy." "So you'll write letters for other students," she said before she could stop herself. He paused. "I write letters when the criteria are met." Her face burned. Students flowed around them. He lowered his voice. "This isn't personal." It felt personal. That night, she wrote in her journal until her hand cramped. "He praises me. He relies on me. He knows I'm different. Why pretend otherwise?" The words came faster, angrier. "He owes me honesty." She stopped sleeping. Coffee stopped working. Her thoughts circled, tightening like wire. "You led me on," she rehearsed, pacing her room. "You made me believe, no, that's not right." She tried again. "You benefited from my work." She laughed, sharp and sudden. That's better. When she emailed him again, she kept it calm. I'd appreciate clarity, she wrote. I don't want misunderstandings. He replied within the hour. There is no misunderstanding. Please keep communication course related. Course related. The wall was higher now. In office hours the next week, she waited until the last student left. The door clicked shut behind him as he stood to straighten the chair. I need you to hear me, she said. He looked at her, concern knitting his brow. Elena, if this is about. You say it's not personal, she interrupted. But you make it personal when you single me out. When you encourage me. I encourage all students, he said. That's not true. Lower your voice, he said softly. She stood. You don't get to tell me how to feel. He held up a hand. This conversation isn't appropriate. Because you're afraid, she said, surprising herself with the certainty in her tone. You're afraid of what it means. He opened the door. I'm ending this meeting. The click of the latch sounded like a verdict. She left shaking. Outside, the campus was bright, students laughing on the quad. The world hadn't noticed anything had changed. But it had. She began collecting moments like evidence. The way he avoided eye contact. The way he stopped calling on her. The way his emails grew shorter. She printed them. She highlighted phrases. She built a narrative sturdy enough to stand on. He used me, she whispered. And now he's discarding me. On a rainy evening, she saw his office lights still on long after dark. Her pulse quickened. She stood under the awning across the courtyard, watching silhouettes move behind the frosted glass. This was it, she told herself. The truth. The last conversation. She crossed the wet stone path, each step loud in her ears. She knocked once. Then again. The door opened. Elena, he said surprised. It's late. I won't take much time, she said, stepping inside before he could stop her. He closed the door behind her, uneasy. We shouldn't. You owe me, she said quietly. His eyes hardened. No, I don't. The rain hammered the window. The office felt smaller than it ever had. Please, she said, her voice breaking. Just tell me why I'm not enough. He softened just a fraction. This isn't about enough. It's about boundaries. Something inside her snapped, not loudly but completely. Then you should have kept them, she said. He took a step back as if the word itself had weight. Elena, he said slowly, you're upset. I understand that. But nothing inappropriate has happened here. And I need you to leave. She stared at him, her chest rising too fast. You keep saying that like it makes it true. It is true, he said, firmer now. This conversation is over. She laughed, a thin sound that surprised them both. You don't get to decide that anymore. His jaw tightened. I'm asking you as your professor to go. As my professor, she repeated. That's all you ever hide behind. That title. That power. She gestured around the room. You sit here deciding who matters. Who gets opportunities. Who gets seen. That's not how this works. It is for me, she said. It always has been. He moved toward the door, opening it. Elena. Now. She felt something cold settle in her stomach. Not fear. Clarity. The kind that comes when a decision has already been made, even if the mind hasn't caught up yet. You're scared, she said softly. You're scared because if you admit what you did, everything falls apart. I did nothing, he said, his voice sharp. And if you don't leave, I will call security. Security. Another wall. Another door slamming shut. She stepped past him back into the hall, her legs trembling. He closed the door, locking it this time. The click echoed. She stood there for a moment, staring at the wood, at the small plaque with his name. Professor Adrian Hale. She reached out and touched it, her fingers lingering. You'll regret this, she whispered, not to him, but to the version of herself that still hoped for something else. Over the next weeks, she unraveled quietly. No one noticed at first. She still attended class. Still submitted flawless papers. Still sat in the same seat. But something had shifted behind her eyes. She stopped raising her hand. She stopped trying. In her journal, the language hardened. He manipulated me. He benefited from my brilliance. He crushed my future to protect himself. She wrote pages of imagined conversations, his apologies growing more elaborate, his regret more desperate. In them she was calm, reasonable, in control. In reality, she jumped at every sound. She watched him constantly. Counted how many times he laughed with others. How many minutes he spent with female graduate students. They don't know him, she muttered once, overhearing two classmates praise his mentorship. They don't know what he's capable of. She drafted an email accusing him. Deleted it. Drafted another. Deleted that too. Each version sharper than the last. One night, her roommate asked gently, "Are you okay? You've been talking in your sleep." "I'm fine," Elena snapped. Then, softer, "I just have a lot on my mind." Her roommate nodded, uneasy. "Maybe you should talk to someone." "I am talking to someone," Elena said. "You just don't know it." She began staying out late, wandering campus after midnight when the buildings were dark and the world felt honest. She stood outside his office more than once, imagining him inside, unaware. You could fix this, she thought, if you wanted to. The night of the final encounter came quietly. No rain this time. The campus was still, the kind of stillness that made every footstep sound like a confession. She knew he stayed late on Thursdays. She'd memorized his habits without realizing when she started. Her phone buzzed as she crossed the quad. A class group chat. Someone joking about finals. She muted it. She reached the faculty building and found his office light on, just as she'd expected. Her heart hammered, but her hands were steady. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again. The door opened. He looked tired, glasses slightly askew. "Elena," he said. "I told you." "I won't stay long," she said. "Just listen." He hesitated, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. The door closed behind her. The room smelled faintly of coffee and paper. "I went over the policy again," she said, taking a breath. "And you're wrong. You could have written the letter." He sighed. "This again." "You chose not to," she pressed. "Because it was inconvenient. Because I threatened your image." "That's absurd," he said. "You're a student. I'm responsible for maintaining professional boundaries." "Say it," she demanded. "Say you never cared." He looked at her, really looked, and something like pity flickered across his face. "I care about my students' success," he said. "But I am not responsible for your expectations." The words landed like a slap. "So that's it," she said quietly. "You take no responsibility." "I take responsibility for my actions," he said. "Not for your interpretations." Her vision tunneled. "You made me feel special. I treated you fairly. You made me feel seen. I acknowledged your work. You let me believe." "I did not," he cut in. "And this is exactly why this conversation is dangerous." Dangerous. The word echoed. She felt heat rush to her face. "You're afraid of being exposed." "There is nothing to expose," he said. "And I'm asking you to leave. Now." She stepped closer. "If you walk away again," she said, her voice trembling, "you're proving everything I know about you." He moved past her toward the door. "This ends now." He reached for the handle. In that moment, something ancient and desperate surged through her. A terror of being erased, of being nothing. She couldn't bear the sound of that door closing again. "Don't," she said. He turned, startled. "Elena." She didn't hear the rest. All she felt was the need to stop the ending. To freeze the moment before abandonment. The office seemed to tilt. The air grew thick. When it was over, the silence was unbearable. She stood there, breathing hard, staring at what she'd done. Her mind scrambled for explanations, excuses, anything that could rewind time. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she whispered. "You pushed me." The door rattled as someone passed in the hall. Reality rushed back in. She wiped her hands on her coat, her movements automatic. She looked once more at his face, already distant, and felt a strange emptiness where the obsession had lived. She slipped out into the corridor, her footsteps echoing. The building seemed to watch her leave. Minutes later, the scream rang out. The alarm shrieked through the building, a sound so sharp it seemed to slice the night in half. Doors flew open. Voices rose. Someone cried. Elena was already outside, walking fast, then faster, the cold air burning her lungs. She didn't run until she reached the quad, until the noise behind her blurred into a distant roar. When she finally stopped, she bent over, hands on her knees, and laughed, once breathless and broken. By morning, the campus was sealed with tape and whispers. News traveled faster than truth. A respected professor. A late night. A tragedy no one could explain. Students huddled in corners, phones glowing, rumors multiplying like reflections in a hall of mirrors. Elena sat in her dorm room, staring at the wall. She washed her hands again and again, as if the water could erase the weight in her chest. Her phone buzzed. Messages stacked up. She didn't open them. In the days that followed, she moved through the world like a ghost. Classes were canceled. Counseling services overflowed. Professors spoke in hushed tones, careful and kind. No one looked at her for too long. No one suspected her. Not yet. She told herself it was over. That the story had ended the moment she walked away. But stories don't end that cleanly. 2 detectives came to campus a week later. They spoke with everyone. They asked about office hours, about emails, about boundaries. When they sat across from Elena, she folded her hands in her lap just as she had in class. "Did you have any issues with Professor Hale?" one of them asked. She swallowed. "No. You were one of his top students," the other said. "You met with him often." "Yes," she said. "About coursework. Anything else?" She hesitated for half a second too long. "No." They thanked her and left. Her heart pounded long after the door closed. That night she dreamed of doors. Doors opening. Doors closing. Doors locking. The evidence gathered quietly. Security footage. Keycard logs. Emails. Her printed pages, highlighted and circled, were found stuffed in the bottom of her desk drawer during a routine dorm check. The journal came later, hidden beneath her mattress. She was studying when they came back. This time there were more of them. "Elena Morales," the detective said gently, "we need you to come with us." The room seemed to shrink. "Why?" "We just have a few more questions." She stood, legs unsteady. As they led her down the hall, doors cracked open. Faces watched. Whispers followed. In the interrogation room, the air was stale. A recorder blinked red. "We know you were there that night," the detective said. "Your keycard. The cameras." Elena stared at the table. "I didn't mean for this to happen. Tell us what did happen." She laughed softly. "You won't understand. Try us." She took a breath. "He destroyed my future." The detective exchanged a glance with his partner. "The emails don't show that." "Because he was careful," she said. "Because he knew what he was doing." "Did he ever promise you anything?" the detective asked. "No," she admitted. "But he made me feel like I mattered." Silence stretched. "Elena," the detective said, "feeling seen isn't a contract." Her eyes filled with tears. "It was to me." At trial, the courtroom was packed. Headlines screamed about obsession, about boundaries, about tragedy. Experts spoke of delusion and entitlement. Friends testified that she'd been quiet, driven, lonely. Her journal entries were read aloud, each sentence peeling back the layers of her mind. She watched Professor Hale's colleagues sit stiffly, grief etched into their faces. She watched students she'd once competed with stare at her in disbelief. When asked if she regretted it, she hesitated. "I regret that it ended like this," she said carefully. The courtroom murmured. "But not the choice?" the prosecutor pressed. She looked up, eyes steady. "I regret that no one stopped it sooner." The sentence came down heavy and final. Years measured out in numbers she couldn't fully grasp. As she was led away, she caught her reflection in the glass. Older, harder, stripped of the illusion she'd wrapped herself in. Prison was quieter than she expected. Time slowed. Days blurred. In the library, she read books she once would have loved, now distant. In therapy, she spoke haltingly about control, about emptiness, about the fear of being invisible. "Why him?" the therapist asked once. Elena considered. "Because he represented everything I wasn't," she said. "And everything I wanted to be. And now." She thought of the office, the door, the final moment. "Now I know that wanting doesn't make something yours." Years later, a new semester began at the university. A different professor taught in the same room. Students sat in the third row, hands folded, waiting to be seen. The building stood unchanged, indifferent. The story faded from headlines, then from memory. But its echo remained, in policies rewritten, in conversations about boundaries, in the quiet awareness that obsession doesn't announce itself loudly. It grows in silence, fed by entitlement and unchecked longing. In her cell, Elena wrote one last entry in a new notebook. No accusations. No fantasies. Just a single line. Grades don't measure obsession. She closed the book and set it aside, the weight of the words settling in the quiet. If you enjoyed this story and would like to get more authentic story tales like this, please subscribe, like, and comment.